Welcome to the Farming Without the Bank podcast, the show with a no BS approach to money, hosted by a farm strategy expert and authorized IBC practitioner. Join us as we get real and expose the flaws of traditional financial institutions in order to help farmers take control of their finances, create peace of mind, grow their wealth, and leave a legacy. Now, here's your host, Mary Jo Ehrman.
Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. All right, today we are going to talk about what is the infinite banking concept. And if you have a podcast to share, this is going to be the one to share. Because when you are trying to explain this to people, they're not getting it. You don't exactly know how to explain it because it's really just a different mindset. And so if you want to share a podcast, I very much would appreciate that because apparently that helps me. And I appreciate you guys so much for helping. I really, really do. So if you want to share, please do. This is the one. All right. What is the infinite banking concept? Now, if you look back at, or if you've been here a long time and you've listened to all my podcasts, this is going to be a little different. I'm going to talk about this a little differently than I may have 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago, because even myself, I am learning constantly. When we talk about what is infinite banking, it is really 3 things. Most of those are mindset. Now, if we go to Nelson's book, Becoming Your Own Banker. So if you have not gotten Nelson's book, please do so. If you've just purchased my book, why? Why aren't you getting the holy grail of infinite banking? Okay, when we go to Nelson's book, the very first thing that he is talking about is more of a mindset. You becoming the banker. He's giving you examples and he is telling you stories and wanting you to use your imagination. What is it like if you own a grocery store and you're not paying it back? Right? So you're stealing the peas. He's talking about the problem, which is we're all putting money into a 401k system and an IRA system, and we're investing in the market, and we're paying a whole bunch of interest to the banks. Doesn't matter if it's a low interest rate or a high interest rate. The volume of interest is what matters. So he touches on the problems, and he's telling you that this is not okay. We are losing money in the stock market. The government created a system so that they have access to your money in this 401k system. We have created you, or we have led you to believe that it is okay for your money to go up and down. That is the first thought. It's all about thought process. So when people say, well, Mary Jo, what is infinite banking? I'm like, it's a thought process about utilizing money correctly. So number 1, thought process. Because we need to understand how to manage our money. We need to understand when we should be paying ourselves back. We need to understand the problem, which is we spend a whole bunch of money, pay interest, then we save a little bit trying to get a rate of return. Okay, that's the first part. The second part is human problems. And that is things like he covers Parkinson's law. A luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity. Or your needs rise to meet your income. That is also Parkinson's law. Here's another one. If you give somebody an hour to do something, it's going to take them an hour. If you give them 10 minutes, it's going to take them 10 minutes. If you give somebody 2 weeks to do something, it's going to take them 2 weeks to do it. They're always going to wait till the last minute. It's human nature, right? The golden rule. Those with the gold make the rules. He talks about Willie Sutton. He stole money because he went to the banks and he was a bank robber. He knew where the money was. So we have human nature that we have to get over. If we want to utilize our money correctly, then we're going to have to fight. Parkinson's law is really the biggest one. we're going to have to fight Parkinson's law. And we're going to have to utilize money correctly. Once we understand the problem, now we have to utilize the money correctly. How many of us are doing that? Nobody. We're all fighting Parkinson's law. We need to have a nicer vehicle. We need to have a nicer house. We need to have nicer campers, boats, whatever. We need to have purebred cattle. We need to have the John Deere. We can't have the Gleaner, right? We need to have the John Deere, whatever that is. Like, everybody wants the nicer things, me included. And once you have something nice, you're not going to go backwards. If you listen to Nelson's story, he had to beat Parkinson's law in order to get himself out of all of this debt. The third part of infinite banking is that we need a place to store our money. Nelson also wrote Warehouse of Wealth. Great book that I do not talk about enough. You should also have that book. Where are we going to warehouse all of this wealth? Where are we going to put our money so that we can create our bank? We can be the bank, we can be the banker, and we can be the borrower. Where are we going to put our money that we still have liquidity to it? That is the whole life insurance piece. So a lot of people will say, well, the infinite banking concept is whole life insurance. Oh, for the love of Pete, no, it's not. The infinite banking concept is a thought process around utilizing your money, but the life insurance is the tool that allows us to carry out the thought process and the utilization of money. The infinite banking concept is not a life insurance policy. Life insurance has been around for 200 years. We just Nelson figured out, that we can use the policy and structure it in such a manner that allows us liquidity of money. And it will give us that liquidity faster than a traditional whole life policy. So if you are going to somebody else to buy your life insurance, they're going to sell you a policy. I don't care if it is structured correctly or not. Do they understand the first two pieces of infinite banking, which makes it infinite banking? It's not the policy is the tool. We can use the concept with a savings account, with our mattress, with a CD. You can use a concept with all of it. Nelson compared a CD to a whole life insurance policy in the book. Guess what? The life insurance policy won because of dividends. So when we're talking about when you're sharing with somebody, or if you're here for the first time and you're saying, what is the infinite banking concept? It is a thought process. It is utilizing money correctly. But if we cannot think like a wealthy person, if we do not understand how money works, guess what? The life insurance policy is pointless. You don't need that if you can't get the first two things. So stop calling life insurance, stop calling it an infinite banking policy. Now, I did this in the past. I am as guilty, but we have to stop doing that because that is not the type of policy. Life insurance companies are selling life insurance. They do not want you referring to them as an infinite banking policy, nor does the financial world. We have to save the policies because they're great. The more we talk about them as an investment, which they are not an investment, they're life insurance. The more we act like they're an investment, the more people are going to draw attention to this and go, oh, this infinite banking thing is terrible. No, it's not. It's very, very simple. We have to think like a banker. We have to understand what's happening financially in our economy. We have to understand how we have been manipulated to think that putting our money into a system we don't understand, like a 401k and IRA, are okay. And that if we lose money, it's okay. It's not okay if you lose money on your house. Why don't I sell you a house and say, oh, hey, you know what? You might lose money on this. Are you okay with that? No. Nope, you wouldn't buy a house if that was the case, right? We have to understand Parkinson's law. We need to make sure that we are doing what we need to move forward and then just house our money correctly. So that turned out to be a little more detailed than I thought. I was going to make this really simple, but I think it's important to explain as well what it is. And so if you find that this is helpful, then please share this when people are asking you, what is the infinite banking concept? They can start after I, go on my little tangent. But what is the infinite banking concept? Because it is just too hard to explain. And, don't tell people, oh, it's a life insurance policy. It's not. We have to think about money differently. We have to utilize money differently. And then we use that money inside of a whole life policy. All right, guys, you let me know if you have comments, questions, concerns. Otherwise, you go to the Farming Without the Bank website, grab the book, make your appointment. You know the routine. Email me, maryjo@withoutthebank.com. If you have anything, I am happy to answer those for you. Otherwise, you have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to the Farming Without the Bank podcast. We hope today's episode has inspired you to take control of your finances in new ways. Don't forget to check out our website, farmingwithoutthebank.com, and engage with us on our Facebook page, Farming Without the Bank. Join us next week as we smash more financial myths and empower you to accomplish your financial goals.